Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, Brothers in Arms, World of Warships, and today's video we're going to take a look at a replay that I had in the Aoba, the Tier 6 Japanese heavy cruiser. I'm playing on my EU account, Die Schlange, which is the snake in German, and I'm grinding of course towards the Zao. I'm divvied up with my buddy Toxic Cruiser Main, and he's playing in the Shinanomi, the Tier 6 Premium Japanese DD, and we're playing some standard battle here on the map Trident. So, the Japanese cruisers, as we all know, not too long ago, from the Furutaka all the way up through the Ibuki, a number of the cruisers received some pretty significant buffs. And in the case of all of the Tier 5 through Tier 9 Japanese cruisers, their accuracy was brought in line with the Zao. Now, it's not exactly the same, but what you're going to notice throughout the course of this replay is salvos that land a lot more shells on target. As we all know, Japanese heavy cruisers at these tiers have very high alpha, at least with their high explosive shells, but they do not have a very good rate of fire because they are generally some of the highest caliber guns on the cruisers that you'll find tier for tier. So these things hit very hard, but of course they have the slow reload. Well, now you're going to be able to hit a little bit harder, and this replay, like I said, you're going to see plenty of really good salvos from the Aoba. And how should you play this ship? Well, the Furutaka kind of gives you that first taste of how to play these 203mm Japanese cruisers. Now, of course, the Zao notwithstanding, because it has an upgraded version of the 203s, the guns that you have from the Furutaka all the way through the Ibuki are virtually identical. And if you're able to master or get really good with the Furutaka, you're only going to slowly gain in potency with the Aoba. Now, from the Furutaka, the ship has a much better AA suite. To be fair, it's not very good when compared to American or German cruisers of their tier, but it's okay. So that's nice. You also have a little bit more hit points at 31,900. You have a little bit more range. Unfortunately, the torpedo angles are a little bit worse. However, they are still the very good 10-kilometer torpedoes that the Japanese have at the mid-tier that makes them very dangerous in a kiting position. Now, if you noticed, I am using armor piercing here against the enemy Nuremberg. Unfortunately, I aimed a little bit too high, but one of the great things about these mid-tier Japanese cruisers is that since they have 203mm guns, there's a lot of cruisers here at the mid-tiers that are not able to angle very effectively from those AP rounds, and there are a lot of them that can be overmatched from nose on. Ships like the Omaha come to mind and the Marblehead. But these AP rounds are extremely deadly, and even though you don't have the fastest rate of fire, being able to successfully switch between the ammo types is still an important skill in a cruiser that has very low DPM, because there are going to be occasions where you're going to be able to need to make those AP shells work, because, you know, the Aoba has a decent amount of hit points, sure, but when you do get into a one-on-one fight versus another enemy cruiser, it's generally not going to end well for you, because a lot of the cruisers that you will face have much better DPM, especially ones that have 152 or 155mm guns. Now, with that all out of the way, the position that I'm going to go to here is inside of Toxic's smokescreen. Now, like I said, the Aoba does well when it is in open water. It does well when it's in medium to long range kiting situations. However, you can also still use islands and concealment, to be able to work effectively. Now, of course, with the high explosive and the great fire chance, I do want to try and burn down enemy battleships, as that is something that the Japanese cruisers are pretty darn good at. The position that I have right now is going to be fine for the next 30 seconds. However, I do realize that I'm going to have to reverse here to be able to still shoot at those enemy ships, but be in a position where the island will be able to provide me some cover. So I do get a nice double fire there on the enemy Congo. Now I switch my focus here towards the enemy Mitsuki, who Toxic went out and was able to spot. I also use my defensive AA really quickly to shoot down those two fighter planes that were hovering over his position. Now you can see that the PEF over there has beached himself, so of course I'm going to switch my fire to that guy. And sure, damage farming is kind of a thing with the Japanese cruisers, but being able to set fires and being able to be a nuisance to enemy battleships is one of the key roles that these ships are able to play. Now you can see also on the minimap that there are a trio of battleships, 2 PEFs in the Congo over here. There's also the Mitsuki and a Nuremberg. I do back up just in the nick of time, as I actually managed to bounce a PEF AP shell right off my front turret face, which is kind of funny. And you also saw that that guy down there, 110th Panzer Division, he used his damage control on one fire as well, so of course I'm going to be continuing to shoot at that guy. The fires have also went out on the Congo, but you know what, that's okay. I'm in a good position right now. Nobody's aiming at me because I do have priority target, so I'm going to be A-okay. I'm going to back up here just a little bit, just to ensure that I have a little bit more safety, and I actually do manage to get undetected, as more than half of my ship is behind the island at this point. So, sure, camping a little bit, damage farming a little bit, absolutely, but this is where this ship does excel. However, I'm going to make a very bold play here, because I thought that Toxic had a smokescreen, and we were in Discord chat while we were talking. But unfortunately, he does not have one ready to go. So with that being the case, I'm going to make a very bold play. However, I see that the one PEF and the Congo over there is I get yet another fire number 8 on that guy. I notice that they are not paying attention to me, so I can't afford to kind of go into this bow-on position, and what I'm trying to do is make a break towards that island that is straight in front of me, and you just kind of got to memorize reload times and know when to turn and when to, turn out and then turn back in and whatnot. Now, one thing that the Aoba does have going for it is that it does have some pretty decent belt armor for a cruiser, and while certainly you do not want to be taking sustained fire from battleships in any cruiser in the game, the Aoba, on an angle, does have some pretty decent belt armor to be able to ricochet shells all the way up to 15 inches in caliber with relative consistency. Now, of course, the angle that you have to go in right there, as you saw, is anywhere from 20 to 30 degrees is going to give you the best chance to be able to bounce. And sure, the PEF doesn't have very good AP penetration, but that was a great example right there that I was able to give you guys. Now, at this point, he's only 2.5 kilometers away, so I figured that it is time to try and get my torpedoes going. However, because I waited about 10 seconds before I started turning to the left, he is going to get his front guns ready to go before. And unfortunately, well, the first two, I take 2 over penetrations, which is okay. We'll see if he's going to be able to get his rear turrets into play. Unfortunately, I do not manage to kill him off with those torpedoes. Only 2 out of the 4 hit that guy, so he should be able to get another salvo off at me, and right there you can see I am taking quite a bit of damage. However, he's down to 179 hit points, and I finally do burn him out, so very fortunately, I ate a lot of over penetrations at point-blank range. He made a little bit of a mistake there, however, when he shot at my A and B turret, where you really need to be shooting at the torpedo tubes on the ship. I do set another fire on the Congo, burn him down, picking up the High Caliber and the Arsonist. If you guys have lost track of the damage counter, I'm up to 118,000 with 2 frags, but now I'm in an excellent position where I'm chasing after this PEF. And there's also a Nuremberg over there at 598 hit points, and then to top it all off, the extremely slow Bogue has now been spotted in J1. So there's still plenty of damage left on the board. There's still plenty of XP left on the board. You can see that my friendly Kitakaze and Acosta, they are going to be moving over towards the enemy's cap, and also a Pensacola is moving back due west as well. So, like I said, this is where the Aoba is in her most comfort, is in her comfort zone, excuse me, when you're able to just burn down enemy BBs and be a nuisance. This is what the Aoba, if you had to sum up this ship with one word, it is absolutely a nuisance. You need to be able to set fires and just kind of control the engagement like that. Now, of course, there has been a lot of support on my side as well, and short of the second PEF that I did run down, nobody was really focusing me when I was spotted. And that's another thing. If you're able to put yourself into positions around your teammates where they're taking the fire, and I know that sounds really bad, but at the end of the day, Japanese cruisers as a whole, they're not the type of cruisers that should really be expected to tank too much, because also these ships do have one very big weakness, is that their bow and their stern are extremely brittle, and 15-inch guns are easily able to penetrate right through the nose and right through the stern. I did set a fire on the PEF, and I picked up the Witherers. I'm at 135k and counting. You can see that there are some dive bombers going towards my buddy in the Shinonome, so of course I pop my defensive AA, just trying to spread those bomb drops out a little bit as I continue to chase that guy down. Now, unfortunately, I do take an HE salvo in the rear, and that's another weakness of the Aoba, where if you do take shots at the stern, it has a very worrying habit of knocking out your rudder. So I had to use the damage control immediately on that one. However, I do get a second fire there on the PEF, and unfortunately for me, he's actually switched to high explosive, so I'm very fortunate right there that he did not knock my rudder or my engine out with hits to the very back of the ship. More high explosive came in and did a decent bit of damage to me, but I should be able to finish this kill off right here as I put him on fire once again, and there we go. That is another battleship taken care of. I'm now going to switch fire here to the enemy Bogue and go nose on to the Pensacola. What I'm going to do is get a couple salvos here at the Bogue as I do manage a double Citadel and change with the high explosive. And then finally, when I'm down to about 5,000 hit points, I notice what the Pensacola is doing. He's sailing full broadside to me, so I'm going to get one more high explosive salvo at the Bogue. And I'm going to switch to the armor-piercing shot. And at 5.5 kilometers, it doesn't matter whether it's a Pensacola or not. This armor-piercing is plenty good enough to be able to get Citadels at this range. I turn, I get the salvo off, I get the nice Citadel on the Pensacola, and that ends the game right as our team manages to cap. Alrighty guys, taking a look now at the post-battle results. Just over 405,000 credits received and 5,300 total experience earned. This was not my first win of the day. I picked up Arsonist, Witherer, and High Caliber, a damage dealer's delight, dealing 177,000 points of damage off of 142 shell hits and 2 torpedoes. I shot down the 2 planes, sank 1/3 of the enemy team, had really good RNG to be fair with 18 fires set, but I was also able to dish out 5 Citadels too. Taking a look at the team score, 2,179 base experience. That is a very solid number for any tier, let alone tier 6. Toxic also managed to get a kill, and 839 base XP himself. Taking a look at the detailed report, 90k with the main battery, 78 with the HE, and 12,000 with the armor piercing, but I did make those armor piercing shots count with the 5 Citadels. I also had 68,000 points of damage with the fires and the flooding that I was able to accrue on those enemy battleships. And like I said, that RNG, at least with the fire chance, was pretty shifty, but even if I didn't have as many fires as I did, I still would have had a very healthy amount of damage. So, maybe not the most accurate representation of Aoba gameplay, at least when I was charging down that PEF. That is a very risky play, but I felt it was one that I could make at the time, and I was able to do so. But other than that, you saw me sitting in that second line, focusing down battleships, getting shots on whoever was providing me the best chance to deal damage. And then, of course, at the end of the game, I was able to use my high explosive and my maneuverability to, go around and deal damage to the rest of the enemy ships that were on the board. And I ended up with a very awesome damage total for this game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this ship, as I'm going to be featuring some of the Japanese cruisers here in the next few weeks as I have continued my grind, and I am currently at the Mogami, but I do have a very nice Miyoko carry that I'm going to be uploading as well. So that'll be nice and fun for you guys to watch. And with that being said, this is Sneaky Snake for BIA World of Warships signing off. Guys and gals, Happy New Year. I hope that this new year coming, you guys, keep doing what you're doing. Thanks for checking out our content. I hope that your life is blessed with, good tidings and fortune and whatever comes your way. And I hope everybody stays healthy. And like I said, thank you for all the support that you give us. And we're definitely excited to see what we can bring to you guys here in 2019. So have a great day.